Welcome to Conspiracy Theories Forecaster.
China and Russia are taking aim at America in space with a dizzying array of weapons seemingly borrowed from science fiction. Russia has deployed what could be multiple kamikaze satellites such as Cosmos 2499, designed to sidle up to American satellites and then, if ordered, disable or destroy them. China has launched the Shijian, equipped with a grappling arm that could snatch U.S. satellites right out of orbit. These are not experimental weapons of the future, but weapons of today, already operating from near-Earth orbit, just 100 miles up and home of the International Space Station, to medium Earth orbit at 12,500 miles, where the GPS satellites fly, all the way up to 22,000 miles in geostationary orbit, home of the nation's most sensitive military communications and nuclear early warning satellites. The U.S. Air Force Space Command was created in 1982 when Earth's orbit was less contested, and today has some 38,000 employees, an annual budget of nearly $8.9 billion, and 134 locations around the globe. The broader Pentagon space budget is $22 billion.
Listen to the speech from U.S. Army Chief Mark Milley, he gave on October 2016.
I want to be clear to those around the world who want to destroy our way of life and that of our allies and friends. The United States military, despite all our challenges, despite our op-tempo, despite everything we've been doing, will stop you and we will beat you harder than you've ever been beaten before. Make no mistake about that. And when the political leadership of the United States decides to deploy its army, and when we show up on your turf, then you know the game's for real, and the stakes are for keeps. And the other thing you know is you're going to lose. You will lose to the American Army. Make no mistake about it. We can now, and we will remain in the future, retain the capability to rapidly deploy, and we will destroy any enemy, anywhere, anytime. So I stand here today, and I caution the enemies of America who doubt or misread our capability. Many enemies have grossly underestimated the United States and its people in the past. They've underestimated our national resolve. They've underestimated our capability, our skill, and our combat power. And each made a fatal choice, which ended with their enrollment in the dustbin of history.
Still, as Russia and China make rapid advances, some of the most senior military commanders are sounding the alarm that this is a war, the next world war and the first to extend beyond the confines of Earth, that America could lose. America and China held urgent talks to address the growing risk of a conflict erupting in space. Diplomats from the two superpowers met for a space security exchange in late 2016. But at a similar event earlier this year, American representatives raised fears that China was developing weapons designed to wage war in space. Frank Rose, Assistant Secretary of the Bureau of Arms Control, Verification and Compliance, said he was blunt about our concerns regarding China's anti-satellite weapon. The U.S. Director of National Intelligence James Clapper testified to this fact last February, stating, "Russia and China continue to pursue weapons systems capable of destroying satellites on orbit, placing U.S. satellites at greater risk in the next few years. These systems will present a threat, not just to the United States, but to the safe operation of satellites by all countries." It has been suggested that Beijing is masking its intentions by disguising military missions as orbital cleanup endeavors. Earlier this year, it was claimed that China had disguised a top-secret space weapon as an orbital garbage collector. The Aolong-1 is equipped with an arm which allows it to reach out, grab orbiting junk and send it plunging into the ocean below. But it could also be used to smash up enemy satellites, giving Beijing a clear advantage in any modern conflict. A researcher with the National Astronomical Observatories in Beijing told the South China Morning Post that the roaming dragon could be used directly against enemy assets in space. He said it was enormously difficult to collect the millions of pieces of space debris which are whizzing around our planet, making it unlikely that China would attempt such a bold experiment with such a huge chance of failure. Currently, countries are prevented from stationing nukes or other weapons of mass destruction in space under the Cold War-era 1967 Outer Space Treaty. But it is feared this agreement is out of date, meaning countries could unilaterally opt out, with disastrous consequences. Winning a space war means rethinking how the U.S. wages war, and that rethinking is one our current military leaders and politicians are only just beginning to undertake. So is the U.S. moving quickly enough to respond to the new threats in space?
Get the latest future-oriented news, and subscribe. Join the Conspiracy Theories Forecaster community.